Well, good evening and welcome to the Arbor Hills Nature Preserve in Plano, Texas. Tonight's exercise is a field test of the Skilhunt M300. This box probably should say V2. This light is powered by a 21700, its predecessor an 18650. The vendor contacted me, asked if they could send me a light for review. Of course, my general philosophy is if it is a review you want, a review you shall have. I'm not too much into packaging and presentation. If you are, you'll like this, very similar to Olight. What I like is having the emitter, color temp, and CRI right in front of me. You can purchase this light with a number of different emitters. All of the technical detail is right there. So kudos to the manufacturer for providing that. Now this is a 21700 based light. It'll have a little bit of heft. You want to think about that. I have average size hands, so that will give you kind of a comparison. Fit and finish is excellent, very good grip and hold. If you like mag charging, you'll be pleased. The single side switch to control all operations on the other side. Now this has a bit of texture. This is smooth, so it's easy to tell those apart. Unless it's cold, maybe you're wearing gloves. So you might want to consider using the two-way clip that is provided with the light. So no matter how you grab it or bring it into play, rotate it till you get your thumb along that clip, get your knuckle of your thumb right up against the edge of that clip, and you just rotate it forward and you'll be right on the switch. Now in terms of the evaluation tonight, this is a warm, white, high CRI light. We're not going to get the big lumen output or the throw that we would get out of a cool white emitter. However, this light should be very good in addition to a number of EDC tasks for night hiking and possibly photography with a focus on nature observation. So that will be my primary focus on field testing tonight. But before we get there, in the next chapter, I want to go over the high points of the UI. There's a couple things there I think you may like. And after that, we'll get to what everybody is interested in. Beam shots, and more beam shots. There are several output levels in this light. You have L2 and L1. Those might be considered as Firefly in other lights. Then M2, M1, H1. Think of those as low, medium, high. And then you have two turbos, T2, T1. The main difference is that T2 comes on at a much lower level of illumination and has a two-stage step down. T1 comes on at the maximum possible illumination level, and it has a three-stage step down. There is direct to Firefly. It's press and hold. If you've seen Olights before, you're probably familiar with this. So it's a single click to turn on, and your main rotation is low, medium, high. So you can simply press and hold to cycle through low, medium, high. Release, or press and release to advance one at a time. There is memory within this cycle. Then double click takes you to turbo. Then double click to go back, single click off. There's also memory in turbo. So if you turn the light off in T2, the next time you double click into turbo, you'll be in T2, same with T1. When the light is on, let's see if I can do this. There's triple click to strobe, then turn the light back off. Now, here's what you may not have expected. The light is off. The only thing on right now is my headlamp. I double click. I have direct to turbo. Light is back off again. Triple click. I have direct to strobe. So to summarize, from off you have direct to Firefly, and from either on or off you have direct to turbo and direct to strobe. I think a lot of people may be interested in that. And I'll have to point out that there is a night photography session going on down by the creek at the bridge where I normally do solo output level tests. So I'm going to have to improvise, adapt, and overcome tonight. I'm going to show you all the output levels by going through actual realistic exercises with the light throughout the preserve. All right then, let's get started. So this is a test that I like to run with EDC style lights in the low output level. We're at the playground. You can see that there is light all around me, but just not enough to get detail in these darker areas. So think of this as a scenario. Your kids were playing out here earlier. You lost something, they lost something. You get back here, it's a bit too dark. You know, what can this low output level do in terms of just a very close quarters search? So this will get us started on our testing tonight. I always like to do a path following test. We're in a medium right now. This is a situation where you might need to use your light to follow a path back. You do need to see downrange enough to notice the general slope and terrain, which is right to left. I can just barely make that out at distance, but there is enough illumination to pick up these areas where we've had runoff from rain that has left these depressions. So I know I need to stick along the left side of this path. I can see rocks. I don't really have all that great situational awareness around me, so I would say this would be the lowest adequate mode if you were jammed up and you had to use this light to follow a path to get back to where you needed to be. And I can already tell if you like warm lights, high CRI, yeah, you're going to really like this one. Back in medium, we're doing nature and possibly animal observation tonight. So let's get right to it and go down what seems to be a game or less frequently used hiking trail and just see what we can see. Okay, we're down by a creek area. I've actually got pretty good visibility into the trees across the creek. So in a more enclosed area like this, medium level is performing a lot better. I know a lot of people come out in places right where I am now and they're looking for owls and other birds. So let's go down this way. I have to apologize for the filming. I'm looking more at my footing in the path than I am at the camera. Oh yeah, nothing like some thorns. And some more. This is nothing like the OBJ grasslands though. I'll have to take you out there sometime. And we're back up to the path. And this is our first look at high. Maximum line of sight across that creek area there is in excess of 35 yards. And then as I pan around, this is the entrance to the outer loop trail. That sign is a little over 25 yards, and we'll continue to pan around and look at the tree line, which takes us again to well over 30, 40 yards right at that point. This is Turbo 2. I'm looking out to a tree line that goes off to my left, and then as it disappears, it's well over 100 yards line of sight. We can just barely light up that tree line. I can tell that there are trees out there, but it's hard to get any additional detail. I should also point out that this is a nature preserve, so there is light pollution from the surrounding city and a tiny sliver of moon outside. However, if I was just looking for eye shine, trying to do detection, I would be capable of doing that at well over 100 yards. Now, if you're like me and you like to get off the beaten path and just go exploring, I'm in high right now. You're definitely going to need a serious radius of awareness. You might get by just looking in front of you in medium, but I definitely like this high mode because you really need to see further down range. And you want to get very good detail when you're looking inside treed areas just like this. I think high is a perfect mode for this. Then if you're looking for owls and other birds, looking up higher in the trees, yeah, this definitely gets the job done. Here is T1. The maximum line of sight, there's a gap between the trees that I think you can see. There's a second tree line out there. It's over 175 yards. I can't even get close to that. But I do have a pretty wide, smooth beam for lighting up that first line of trees. So this is our first look here in T1. I do allow the light to cool down after every turbo test. We're back in T2 looking down onto the outer loop trail. I'll just pan around here. No real discernible heat at all, by the way, in this mode. Same area, T1, and I'm going to just leave this one on for a couple of minutes. Now my index finger naturally rests on that magnetic charging area, and already I'm feeling some heat there. Nothing uncomfortable, but I'm just noticing some heat. Bit more heat now. And I'm really noticing it now. In fact, I'm noticing a significant amount of heat on both my thumb on the output level switch and my index finger on the mag charging area. In fact, I'm going to shift both of them right now. There's also a pretty significant amount of heat in the body of the light, but less so. Yeah, you can definitely tell it's stepped down, but it's very gradual. Over 2 minutes now. I can hold the light, but I've got to keep my fingers well away from the head area. I'm going to let this go to about 3 minutes and then we'll call it. And that will conclude our burn down test in T1. Okay, we're moving along this path, looking back through the trees here. We are in medium. You never know what you might see. And on the subject of what you might see, we're coming up to a curve right here. And it was, I believe, last summer. I can't remember which review it was on, but right about in here, I got a video of a bobcat. So that's just an example of one of the many things you can see out here at the preserve. All right, well, I've got another interesting test in mind. This is another test I like to do with EDC style lights. We are at the top of the observation tower looking back across the bridge, 25 yards to the end of the bridge, 35 plus to the tree line. And this lighting will not allow us to see to the other edge of the bridge. So we bring the Skilhunt here in, that's medium. So, let's say we heard something out there and we just need to light it up real quick. Medium is definitely getting the job done. I could do halfway decent identification out to the tree line just in case. Let's bump it up to high. And if I move over here, I can even see back into that dark area somewhat where the trail splits off and goes off to the right there. All right, I'm going to head on back in. I've got at least one, possibly two more tests in mind, and we'll wrap it up for the night. While we were at the top of the observation tower, this is another area I've seen people looking for owls. So we're in high, trying to look deep inside these trees. So let's suppose you're doing some very, very close quarters observation. This is L1, or the highest Firefly mode. All right, there we go. Let's head back up to the parking lot. I'm going to go to the picnic area, then we'll do a quick wrap up. Well, just in case you want to see the other one, that's L2, or lowest Firefly. Okay, now you've seen both of them. So I'm back up to the parking lot in the picnic area. We have lighting all around me, but we also have these dark pockets. Let me bring the Skilhunt in. Low mode. All right, let's just look around. Up into medium. Then high. And let's walk back over through here. Then back out into the trees. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it up for tonight. You can go to the website. You can get pricing information. You can reread the feature list. You've seen the UI. You've seen all the output levels in realistic conditions. So basically, my philosophy is pretty simple. I run the test. You make the decision. Now, if you'd like to see other tests, leave a comment. Perhaps you'd like to see the same light in a cool white emitter. That's really up to the manufacturer, whether or not they'll send me one. We could do a comparison. But if you would like to see another environment or another set of tests, like I say, leave that comment. I'll see what I can do. And as always, until the next review, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for watching the video.